Good evening, Tyler. I really appreciate you taking the time this evening for this podcast. This is episode, I think it'd be episode 54, man. So we're kind of rolling with it. If you could please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. And so my name is Tyler Hassman. I'm a real estate entrepreneur, originally from Saskatchewan, Canada. For all you listeners, hopefully you guys, if you don't know where that is, Google it. It's a pretty interesting place up here in Canada. And I currently reside in Calgary, Alberta, which is just beside where I grew up in Saskatchewan. But previous to that, I've lived in 3 different countries. I've done real estate in 3 different countries. I've traveled a whole lot. I've done everything from buying apartment buildings, fix and flips, Airbnbs, ran a hotel. I've done consulting, and I still do all of that as well. And I'm very passionate about real estate and entrepreneurship as a whole. And I'm super excited to share some things on this podcast, all the highs, all the lows, and kind of give some insights as well.
And so what got you into real estate? What at what age at that too?
For sure. So I originally got interested in real estate when I was 17. I just graduated high school, and I was always an entrepreneur. I was always very entrepreneurial. And in high school, I was always reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and just really obsessed with all of that. And I didn't know really, I tried different things in high school, selling t-shirts, out of my locker and on clothing stuff, and, did lawn care and just hustled for anything. And I loved that. And I loved sales. So I got into sales and the whole entrepreneurial thing. And it was the one time hanging out with my friend, and we're 17, 18 at the time. And he was also pretty entrepreneurial too. And we both wanted to just do something. And we were just literally Googling, business ideas or best ways to build wealth and all that kind of stuff. And real estate kept coming up, and we thought that was cool. That's honestly the thing. We thought it was cool. We're 17. We're like, man, imagine owning real estate. That's cool, So, and we just got excited about that. And then from there, I started going to real estate networking events, started meeting other real estate investors. That led to coaches and mentors and learning from them. And then it kind of just spiraled effect into a passion that's, I still love to this day. And for the reasons why I love real estate so much now is, it allows me to live the lifestyle that I want, whether that be financial freedom, passive income, location freedom. There's a lot of, cool opportunities that real estate has to bring. And that's why I love it. It comes with a really good lifestyle.
And so what was your first deal?
Yeah, my first deal was a $1.5 million apartment building when I was 18 and around 18, I believe. And it was a brand new apartment building. And, it wasn't something small. I lived at literally, dude, never even had a credit card, never have bought anything big in my life. I was still living at home in my parents' basement. And with my business partner, Bailey, at the time, what we did is, we wanted to, first off, do a fix and flip. I mean, you see it on HGTV, you see it on YouTube. That's the thing, right? Your first real estate deal, go fix and flip some really ghetto property that's for sale for $10,000, $20,000. And that's what we were going to do until we were at an event and people were talking about multifamily investing, of buying apartment buildings and doing joint ventures, which is using other people's money. So, having 50% owner or whatever it may be, bring the money, and the other 50% is going to be the operator, or the person that brings the deal and does the work. So when we found out about that, we're like, let's try this. So we tried that, and sure enough, we found a really good deal, a good off-market deal, and we're able to present it the right way to our network of people that we knew. And sure enough, we raised the money and we're able to close on it. And it was wild, man. To be that young and doing a deal like that, it was certainly, certainly amazing. And, the reason why we were able to pull it off though, is because, we just educated ourselves very heavily. We made sure we had mentors and had other people backing us that were able to guide us through that. So even though it was our first deal, we had the know-how of how to do it, So first deal, massive apartment building.
And so you started off, first of all, awesome. That was awesome that you started off such a huge deal like that. How many units was that?
It was 12 units.
Okay, so to start off with 12 units. And so how did you know And first, I'm gonna ask, how did you know? And then what did you do to break down everybody's responsibilities? So first, how did you know where everybody should go, what to do, what's such a deal so big like that?
Yes, for sure, man. So like what right away, right? The big thing is once we learned, like the big piece about this that I kind of skimmed over is like before we went and did this deal, we spent like tens of thousands of dollars to learn how to do this, right? And that's the biggest thing. Like there's a lot of people out there that are like, yo, I'll just watch the YouTube videos and read books and I'll slowly get to that level, right? And you can, it'll take a lot of time. But me and my business partner at the time are like, no, we want to do this right now. So what we did is we found someone that was doing it and doing exactly what we were wanting to do. And that's buying apartment buildings, paid them a bunch of money to learn their systems and have them mentor us to be able to do it, right? Because we spent a full year like thinking of doing fix and flips, watching the YouTube videos, watching people on Instagram, trying to read all these free books and resources. And we weren't really getting anywhere. And it wasn't until we literally had someone hold our hand to be like, hey, here's how you do it, and dumbed it down, because it's not rocket science, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, it clicked. So when we did that deal right away, we knew, okay, we're going to be the ones doing all of the work. We're going to build the team of the lawyers, accountants, the bookkeepers, right? The property managers. We were going to be the ones doing all the operations, and the investors are going to be the silent partners, right? So that's kind of the whole realm of how all that worked is we really dug deep into education, took it very seriously, and then we're able to know exactly who does what and how to delegate all of that. And I always tell people, it's kind of like the more you learn, the more you earn, right? That's a huge thing. I mean, so many people are like, oh, what's the secret or what's this? There is no secret. Find someone who has done it before, learn from them. Maybe they're willing to teach you for free. Maybe they want to charge $100,000, right? Who knows? But if they have done what you've done, and there's proof of that, because obviously on social media now there's a lot of fake gurus and all that other stuff out there, right? Yep. So you want to make sure that they've done it before. But hey, if there's someone that's like, wanting to, if I'm wanting to do something and I know that someone has done it before and I have a chance to talk to that person and they can mentor me how to do it, boom, I'll pay them whatever they want, right? And that's what I've kind of taken into my whole career. So that was kind of the catalyst to the success of doing that deal.
Awesome, man. And so from year one now to sounds like year 6, because now you're 24.
Yeah.
How did you amass from the 1.5 million? Was it 1.5, 1.2?
1.5.
1.5 to now $12 million worth of multi-family apartment. Did you just rinse and repeat and did the same thing over and over?
Yes, we scaled it. We just kept on doing it. And because what happens is you build momentum, right? So that first building, we actually got too involved in it. And we're like, then we became like property managers of it. And then what happens is we were working too much in the business rather than on the business. So for that first year, we didn't really see much growth. And then we decided to make the transition to focus working on our business rather than in, right? So the next thing you know, we took that success and another deal came up and we just kept on duplicating it and built off that momentum of having that first deal, then having the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. And we just kept on building it up and up and up and up until we got to building 6 and 7. And we just kept on building that. And that's kind of the big thing, because what happens is, especially in the real estate industry, a lot of people, they get hung up on that first deal. They get that first deal, they become so obsessed with it, they get so involved with it, they forget that you got to keep on going, right? You're not going to get rich off just one property. And my business partner at the time, Bailey, we were like, we're not into this just to have 1 or 2 deals and make a little bit of money. We want to have a massive portfolio. So as soon as we got that one, we systemize it. All operations are done, and boom, let's go do it again. Boom, let's go do it again. We just kept on hustling and just never looked back.
And all these properties, the multifamily apartment buildings, are all these in Canada?
Yes, they're all in Saskatchewan, in the southeastern region, in super small towns. And the reason why we went in these small towns is they're overlooked a lot of the time. Like, man, these towns have like 400, 500 people living in them, like super small towns in the prairies. And there's potash mines and there's a lot of like industrial jobs out there where people fly in and then they need a place to stay and they'll go work at the place and they'll fly out. So, there was a big opportunity that we saw that other people didn't see. a lot of people passed up on these buildings and decided to invest in the bigger cities, where we did our more research and found, hey, there's a lot of opportunity in these small towns, and there's a lot of demand for these rentals, but everyone else doesn't see that. They just see a small little town where we saw a small little gold mine, and it's been great. It's been super great.
And so what made you go out of your country? And so I see that you have vacation rentals in Costa Rica,
Yes.
Costa Rica, and what are other countries you have properties
Yeah,
in?
so we've been in USA, Scottsdale, Arizona, Costa Rica, and then of course Canada. And the whole thing with that is, building this multifamily real estate portfolio in Saskatchewan, I've always had a bigger dream, bigger vision to be in the bigger cities, like be in California, Arizona, travel around the world. That's who I've always been. So I was chasing that dream of, building a real estate portfolio, but at the same time, I wasn't that happy. I still knew that there was something missing. And that's when I decided I told my business partner at the time on the multifamily, like, hey man, I'm going to go try some other stuff. And he's like, yeah, totally. So I just got in my car and drove down to Scottsdale, Arizona. And I started doing Airbnb vacation rentals. It's a new strategy. I thought it was so cool. I've always wanted to run a hotel and own a hotel. So Airbnb hotel, kind of the same thing. And I was so excited about it. And the best part is that it was a leasing strategy. So we wouldn't go and purchase and go through all these mortgages and all this money down. It was, leasing a property for rent, then subleasing it on Airbnb and keeping that extra money. And I was like so excited by that. I went down to Scottsdale and said, hey, I'm just going to try this. And I tried it on one. It worked. I started making good money, did another one. And it was going great. And then went all the way back up to Canada and got some more up here. And then at that point, I'm with my partner and business partner, Jade. And we're like, hey, let's go to Costa Rica. It was literally, I'm not even joking you, a 1 week decision. We're like, okay, we got properties in Scottsdale. We got properties in Canada. Where do you want to go next? And we're like, let's go to Costa Rica. Didn't really know, been there once before, didn't really know anybody, didn't really have a plan, bought a one-way ticket and just went the next week. And we went down there and just figured it out. And, when we were in Costa Rica, we started getting properties using the same model. And then we found some hotel owners where they were willing to lease out their whole hotel. And we ended up taking that on, turned it into a co-live digital nomad hotel. And then we ran a hotel down there. So we were operating in 3 countries, doing great. And then COVID hit and we had to restructure everything, we can get into that. But yeah, the whole pursuit of, going to these other countries and other places was a passion project, to be able to, I just see I want to make sure that with what I'm doing, I'm satisfied with doing it and I'm happy with it. And when I was doing all that multifamily, a lot of people are like, why are you leaving? Like, why don't you just keep doing this? This is great. And I was like, yeah, that might be great, might look successful in your eyes or, the eyes of building a big portfolio, but it doesn't bring me that true happiness, And then when I was traveling and experiencing these other cultures and setting up these other properties while making money and building my portfolio, it was just so much happiness. And even to this day, I enjoy traveling and going to other places, doing business, and it's so much fun,
So how did you have to adjust during COVID as a landlord? Because I have my own story, so I feel your pain if you did go through any. What was your adjustment strategy?
Oh yeah, man. So to give you guys a context, we got crushed by COVID. So COVID was my first big punch to the gut, for sure. Because obviously with all the multifamily stuff, of course there was mistakes, money lost and there's always little things that happens, right? But at the end of the day, great success. We're able to do that, right? Same thing like my other projects. But COVID was a complete halt, right? It's going to be in the history books for how long. This has been insane. And really what happened, we're on this high, right? We have these properties in Arizona, we have these properties in Costa Rica, and we have this new hotel. And the hotel, the launch party was on March 17th. And on March 16th, the Costa Rica government announced, hey, we're going into lockdown. This COVID virus is happening. And then 2 weeks after that, we had to get on an emergency plane back to Canada because the Canadian government's like, if you're abroad and you're Canadian, you need to come back because there's going to be no more flights. And we were like, whoa. So this all out of nowhere within a few weeks went from riding this wave, launching our hotel, launching like 20 properties, like feeling at the top, dude, the top of the world. Like the income, the concept, our dream hotel, everything was like, how can life get any better? Everything I ever dreamed of. I was dreaming of a hotel for like 3 years, and we've only had it for 3 months, and then everything's going great, and we're in busy season, so we're making tons of money, and then boom, we watched like a very high amount of 6 figures of income that was guaranteed in bookings. Well, not guaranteed, but in bookings, completely get wiped out. Within 6 days, we watched a really high number of 6 figures go completely to zero, gone. But what didn't go away were those expenses, right? So we had to negotiate. Like a lot of the landlords and a lot of the people we're working with, they were like, hey, absolutely, let's work something out and cancel leases. There was a lot of people willing to help. Some weren't, but we were able to salvage as best as we can, because the tourism in Costa Rica completely went under. Like there was nothing, in the US and in Canada, we were still able to hold on to lots of our stuff because there were still people needing to quarantine, traveling for certain reasons. There's a lot of domestic tourism, right? And needs for domestic travel, where in Costa Rica, there wasn't. So, down there, we lost a lot, and it was very, very tough. And same thing with some of our other properties, you had to give them up. But it was like, it was a very pivotal, roadblock, and it was kind of a sign from the universe that, hey, restructure, there's going to be more times coming. So, it was an interesting time for sure.
So I will say this, one thing that I had to make an adjustment on was I had to transition the majority of my tenants to rental assistance programs. Now, I'm not sure if there's any in Saskatchewan, Canada. Did I say that right?
Close enough. You did good.
So yeah, I'm not sure if there are any in that area, but that's definitely how I was able to survive COVID, because we had about a 16-month rent moratorium down here. So, I was just talking to a couple of my other people I was interviewing, like, we understand 12 months of maybe reserves, 6 to 12 months of reserves, but anything past 12 months is pretty ridiculous. And I don't know how a lot of landlords can survive. So, but that is what has helped me stay well above water, is keeping people, assisting people getting a rental assistance program, whether it's Section 8 or the city provides some type of rental assistance program because they know, COVID, got them laid off from their job. But yeah, that pivot is huge. I agree with you. It wasn't like your normal recession, like what they talk about, like between 2005, 2008 with the housing market, right? It was a different one where the homes were going up in prices, but and the rents were going, staying steady, but people can't pay their rent. So It's like, it's very weird.
Totally. And the weird thing about this one is, like, nobody really knew what was going on or how long it was going to last. You know what I mean? There was so many ups and downs, and it's been a year. It's been well over a year now. We're finally, here in Canada especially, are back to normal as of actually July 5th here in Calgary, Alberta. No more masks. Everyone almost has their second vaccination. Like, things are finally good. And it's been that long, but nobody really knew what this virus was, what effect it'll have. And the difficult part too, in Costa Rica, was there wasn't any assistance for our business down there. So that was what really crushed us, is not only is tourism at zero, lost all the bookings, but we couldn't get any assistance, right? So it was difficult. That's the difficult thing when you are in certain countries. It's not always like Canada or the USA, with assistance and stuff like that. So it was an interesting time. But the big thing that I always say is, I actually had a good friend and mentor tell me this, and this guy's built a massive company, and he always tells me it's about the journey, not about the end destination, right? He's done it. He's built a $100 million company, and he told me, he's like the journey was the best part and is the best part. It's not once you make it, when you're like, that's great. It was all about the journey and those hard times. So when you reframe your mindset to your business being as a journey, rather than just one end destination, there'll be a huge weight off your shoulder. Because what happens is, once we, lost everything in Costa Rica and have to restart, it's not like we were just like, oh, like obviously we were devastated. There was a whole week there where we're like, what just happened? And then we bounced back. We're like, it's a journey. We're in this for the long game. Let's get back out there. Right. So, reframing that and having that mindset of it's a journey and it's going to take time rather than just, hey, it's a one destination spot. It's going to be a lot different.
Awesome. And so what would you consider your best steal, like your best deal that you got? We was like, yo, this is a steal. Like, I can't believe we pulled this off.
Totally. I would have to say, wow, there's been a lot of different opportunities, but honestly, I would have to say it was our hotel in Costa Rica because it was an off market, like it wasn't even marketed. It was, our good friend actually, and he was helping us with all of our Airbnb properties. Calvin, he actually was fixing our washer machine at our one rental property down there. And I was just talking to him, and he's a jack of all trades. He's our leasing guy. He does everything down there. And he was just like, he's like, yeah, man, like my friends have this hotel and he's tell me what it's, and they're tired of running it. And they, maybe want some help and yada, yada, yada. And I just wasn't really interested at the time, right? I'm like, I don't really want to, buy a hotel right now. We got to put all this money down and like, can't get financing down there. So you got to buy it cash and that's millions of dollars. And I'm like, no. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, they're thinking of, instead of selling, renting. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, let's go look at it. So he hopped on his dirt bike and Jade and I hopped on our pedal bikes and we biked over to this hotel and we met the owners. We checked out this hotel and we're like, this is sick. And we did some cool renovations to it and made it super cool and painted our vision all over it. And the owners are super amazing people. And it was just a really cool opportunity to work with them as well and, help them out. They got to get passive income without having to deal with the hospitality industry, which is a crazy, industry to be in. And it was a win-win situation and it was amazing. But obviously it didn't turn out the way we wanted to with COVID, but I would say that was like our best one of just perfect opportunity, perfect location, perfect property, perfect owners to deal with and like everything like that.
So I do have a question. So when it comes to you getting these massive deals, is it generally where, hey, my 50% is the fact that I'm running it, and then the other 50% of ownership is the people that actually invest, or do y'all put y'all money in?
Right. So on the multifamily, like purchasing those assets, it depends on the deal. Some of it's 60-40, some is 50-50, some is 30-70, like whatever that may be, right? Many different reasons why it can be different, but on a joint venture, so that's what we do, joint venture. So let's just say it's 50-50 for example, right? So let's say, I would outline it. Okay, I'm getting 50% and I'm bringing the deal, I'm bringing the expertise, I'm bringing the know-how, I'm bringing the team, and I'm doing all the work. I'm the active partner. And then for the other 50% that's remaining, that is just for people that bring the money. So let's say you were bringing the money and let's say we needed $500,000 and you put down the 500,000, you are passive. You don't got to lift a finger. I'm doing all the work, right? So I know that might sound crazy. Some people out there that might be like, wait, like you're telling me this person, someone's going to put 500,000 in and only get 50 and you're going to put nothing in and get 50%. The thing is, though, is the time, the know-how, and actually getting the deal and putting it all together. Like that person that puts in the 500,000 is going to say, wow, like, yeah, I'm glad they don't have to do anything. Right. So that's how that works. And then you also structure the deal properly so that they get their money back in a timely manner so that it's a good shared split and they get a good return on investment without you taking too much from the deal. So it gets a little bit more complex. But at the end of the day, a lot of people say, if there's a lot of money out there. There's way more money out there than there is deals, than there is, people willing to put in the work and get these certain returns. So really the value of the partnership, it's both valuable, the money as well as the operational partner, but like the amount of time and get the deal, find the deals, put it together, do all the work. And it's a daily operation. It's like a full-time gig, so it's, really important. So that's kind of how we structure that. I haven't put any money into any of my real estate. I own a lot of real estate and I haven't put any money into it. I mean, I put money into my business to fund certain things, but I've never directly put money into one of my deals to purchase it. It's all been in partnerships.
And so is this strictly done, these partnerships built off of like operation agreements through your lawyers?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So it's a joint venture agreement, which operation agreements, it's all kind of same verbiage. Yeah, every single thing, it goes through strictly through our lawyers. And I recommend every single, no matter who you are, right, as a real estate investor, if you're ever partnering with anyone, even your own business partner, get a lawyer to draft something up. It is going to cost some money, but it's going to save you in the long term, right? Because I've been through many different partnerships, some good, some not so good. And you always want to make sure you have a lawyer going through any of your contracts for sure. It's always good to, become good friends with a lawyer too, because once you become good friends with them, they don't charge you for everything. You can call them up and have like a 10-minute discussion. They can kind of give you some advice and they're going to charge you. Where if you aren't friends with them, they're going to charge you for that 10 minutes. And I learned that the hard way with our first lawyer. Like, oh man, the bills I just scared to email him because I knew he'd charge me for an email question. Where now we have a lawyer where it's like, we can call him up, talk to him, hang out. And, he's not going to charge us every single time when we, do that. So yeah, it's really important. It's going off that. It's really important to have a power team, and a power team. Their main members is going to be your lawyer, accountant, bookkeeper, and then a mentor. Right. That's done what you have done before. Right. And I think there might be more on those are the top ones on the most important ones I can think of right now. Right.
The ones you
really
talk to the
important
most.
to have them. Yeah. The ones you talk to the most. Absolutely. So it's really good to have those people, dealing with you. Right. It's really good to have that right from the start. Here's the thing. Even if you don't have any properties or anything, you're just starting out, go and build that team and tell them, hey, I'm going to be starting my real estate portfolio. Can I count on you? And can I use your services? Right. So that you have those connections already before you get into a deal.
This is awesome information. And I appreciate the way you break it down. So 2 reasons why I'm appreciative. 1, because you are helping somebody that may be a little bit intimidated by doing big deals, right? You make it very, relatable. And then 2, you're young, right? And so a lot of people may think like maybe a 50 or 55 or 60-year-old only could do this, not somebody who's 24 or at the time 18 when you first started. And you know what the big difference was? You believed. That was pretty much it. You had some money, you invested in yourself, and then you believed in yourself, and then you made it happen. And it got other people to believe in an 18-year-old with a $1.5 million deal, him and your partner. And so I think that's very powerful message, man. And I think that's something that a lot of people should think about as far as, okay, this guy can do it, right? And he's so humble, down to earth. All right, let me put my mind together. Some people already know a contractor, and they already know an electrician, and they already know a property manager, maybe because of family. There's been so many times I talked to somebody like, oh yeah, my uncle, he does plumbing. Oh, my father, he's in the carpentry. All right, well, you already got a portion of your team right there. Now you just got to outsource. I'm pretty sure they already know other people that you could use in order to build a team together. As we're talking, man, you already got my brain churning about the deals that's in my area as well. So you've also been motivating me too. So throughout these last 6 years, what would you say has been your biggest challenge? I know you mentioned one about working on your business instead of in your business, but what's another one?
Oh man, the biggest challenge I would say is keeping a strong mindset. Now, what I mean by that is, as an entrepreneur, like, you deal with the craziest ups and downs, right? It's insane, and it's always like, good times, bad times, worst times, amazing times. And you know what I mean? Just when you're riding a high, boom, you're getting, you know what I mean? It's like Costa Rica. Here we are planning our launch party. We're getting a tattoo artist, like live tattoos, DJ, like, as we're doing that and money's coming in, the next day, all of a sudden we have to leave the country and shut down our business. And it's like, how do you, where's the mental game of that, of riding a high to then losing everything? And really, like, over the past 6 years, it's always been like that. It's dealing with anxiety, dealing with, not, the fear of the unknown, the 6 ghosts of fear that Napoleon Hill calls it. So I would say the most difficult thing has been the mindset. So what I do, and I tell a lot of people, is focus on your mindset, read personal development books, meditate, really, focus on your personal growth and development. Because here's the biggest thing that happens. This happened to me. I let my business go way up here, way to the top, but my mindset and my personal development level was still down here. So there was a big gap between this, right? I had this big portfolio, but my mental game wasn't up there, right? So then I had to, get some more personal development, learn more, grow my mindset so that I can
Okay.
become a better person and show up more fully in that. So, and I still to this day, I work my mindset nonstop, because really what's stopping a lot of people from achieving great things is their mindset. It's not having the certain resources, it's not having X, Y, Z, it's their mindset. So
I like that, man. And I think, like you said, right? You said you're very impatient, so you want to do everything so quick. So I can
yeah,
see that happening, right? Things like happen so quick. You're like, oh shoot, I gotta catch up, which is
yeah,
not a bad problem to have when you think about it. you know,
totally.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that would love to be in your position. And so moving forward, right, as things are getting better, COVID is subsiding as far as at least the effects or people affected is subsiding. What is your next goal with your real estate portfolio?
Absolutely. Is a goal right now is to become the largest short to medium term rental company, in North America. Right now, we're one of the largest in Western Canada. It's Kube, Kube. And stay with Kube is what we go by. And we got a bunch of short-term rentals and vacation rentals here in Western Canada. And we plan to just continue to scale that and all across Canada, go back to the United States, go back to Costa Rica, and really just build that portfolio back up really quickly.
And you plan to stay on the western part of the world, or you want to go even to the eastern part?
Oh, all over, like everywhere. Like I want to go as far as like Tokyo, like, I want to go to Europe too, like Australia, like literally everywhere. I want to go all over the world and do this.
So I got a question. How are you able to manage everything? Do you have employees in place to just, give you board meetings, to update you on things? Like, how are you able to manage all this?
Yes, technology. You need to implement technology. Here's the biggest thing is that a lot of real estate mentors out there, and the way that real estate is done is it's predominantly a way older demographic, right? It's like 50s, 60s, right? And year olds, right? So when I first got into real estate, I was like, wow, like nobody's really using virtual assistants, right? They're not really using all of these, even just tech as a whole, right? So what I do and what our company does, we have tons of employees, tons of subcontractors, and we do everything online. Like as long as I have my phone and my iPad, I have my business, right? So all of our other partners and employees, it's all virtual, right? And of course, in certain centers, like here in Calgary, we do have on the ground people that live here that need to go to the properties and do stuff. But as for our whole operational team and our admin team, it's all online. And that's how we're able to do that, is build an online team.
That's awesome. And so they're different. They're all in different area codes, though time zones.
So yes, the Philippines is where we have quite a bit of our team members. So it's like the complete opposite. So we have a team of them that some work nights, some work days. So it kind of equals out and balances out. So we're a 24/7 company, which is a cool thing.
Yeah, I'm hearing that more and more, especially with the wholesalers. Making the cold calls and the cold texts. They're employing people in the Philippines to do that. So as they're sleeping or about to go to bed, they're up and they're sending out cold calls, cold texts to see how many pings they can get. And I meant to ask you earlier. So I don't know if I did. How are you finding these off-market deals? Are they all off-market?
No, well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, the big thing is network, right? You need to network. You need to show up at events. You need to, it's the whole thing. If it's not what you know, it's who you know. That was how I actually got all my apartment building deals, was because I networked and found the right people to talk to that had access to deals or were the ones that had the deals themselves and owned it, right? And that's the thing, is that here's the thing is a lot of young people that are getting into real estate, they think they can just, they can network with a younger crowd that's just on social media. And that's great. You know what I mean? Networking with a younger social media crowd that's in real estate, but you still need to show up to the hotel conference, old, demographic real estate investing events, because those are the people that usually own all these big assets, right? That might want to get rid of them or have connections for other people, right? So that was my big thing, is, here I was, this 17, 18-year-old kid showing up to these events and like the hundreds of people, and the next youngest person is like, 40, right? And I was that person that then showed up. And the best part is I stood out more, right? But that's the thing, is you need to network, and you need to show up in person. You need to, be so diversified in, in the real estate community, and make sure you're well known, so that people are starting to call you. And we've even had people call us, message us too, of like, hey, we got these deals. Hey, like, I own this property. Hey, I heard about you. So that's kind of the biggest thing, is be seen, be heard, and show up to events.
That is the common thing I am hearing, is network. It gets to the point where you're not even looking up deals anymore. People are presenting them to you, and
Yes.
you're able to you're doing the best you can to make the numbers work. And at that point, like you said earlier, momentum, you start gaining momentum. That's pretty dope, because
and you really quick, you got to network with the right people. That's a big thing, because I've networked times with people that, weren't really doing much. So I wasn't really doing much. And once I started networking with high level people that were doing lots of deals and were taking massive action and had a growth positive mindset, then my life started to change, right? So it's really important of who you're networking with as well.
Do you find the people that are doing really well to be very like giving of information and help?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The people that are doing the most, are usually the ones that are so like really willing to help, right? They're very much willing to help, right? And they're very nice people. That was the biggest thing, is like, I was willing to go and call up hotel owner, to call up people that owned, tons of real estate, and say, hey, this is who I am. I'm young, getting into real estate. What advice do you have, or can you mentor me? A lot of the times they're like, hey, I got some great advice, but like, I'm busy, I can't mentor you, right? And it wasn't until someone said, hey, yeah, I can mentor you, that, I got that mentor. But at the end of the day, nobody ever shut me down, and they're not going to, right? Maybe the odd person, but the majority of them, they're happy. They want to see that other success in people. And even like me, someone reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I got some questions or something. Absolutely, I'll come help you out, right? Am I going to be there every single day and every single hour? Absolutely not. But will I be there to, answer some questions and give you some advice? For sure. And, that's one of the big things there, and I mean, when it does come down to, reaching out and really getting people, into your network and stuff too, is, really do some research on them, ask them some questions, right? And really see what they've done, who they've been associated with, so you can really make sure you're networking with the right people.
That's awesome. I'm glad you added that last part in about making sure you're networking with the right people. So far as, my experience with networking with individuals in the real estate game, mostly everybody's been pretty honest with what they're doing. I think partially because they're just so proud of what they're doing to begin with. Like, hey, look, man, I'm just happy to have these 12 units that I got, and I'm running them well. And, and then you have somebody that says, hey, I got 300 units and this is what we're doing. And everybody so far has been very willing to give information, especially if they're doing well. I've noticed that very willing to give information, very willing to help as much as they can, obviously, because some people are very busy. And I just love the environment, the culture of this real estate world is, hey man, give, not like hold the information on tight because I don't want nobody else to know. And I'm not sure if there's any other niche that's like that, but I love the culture, man. That's another thing that's kept me kind of motivated, because the hard thing is when you have a passion for something and then some guy or girl that's been in the business for 20, 30 years just dampens your dreams. Like, it's not what it's supposed to be, kid. Like, it's not what it's cracked up to be. Get out the game while you can. You're like, but I grew up wanting to do this,
Yep.
so.
And going off that is one thing I've realized, is the ones that are usually doing the least always have the most amount to say and are the most negative. The amount of real estate events I've ever been to, the amount of real estate events I've been to, like, I have seen some very negative people, and they're just like, oh, now's not the time to be buying. Oh, that leasing strategy and doing Airbnb, are you kidding me? No, that will never work here, yada, yada. And then I'll ask, nicely, I'll be like, oh yeah, like, what's your experience? Have you done it before? No. What's in your real estate portfolio? Well, I haven't done anything yet. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to take your advice, right? I'll be nice to you. I'm a very nice person. Right? I'm not going to shun someone, but I'll be like, hey, yeah, that's good input. Thanks. I'll go talk to someone else. You know what I mean? And that's what you usually see. I mean, and I never forget, I had a mentor, Gary, my first ever mentor, and we were at an event, and he said, hey, like, a lot of these people here, make sure you're careful who you listen to and who you take advice from. Because a lot of these people have been coming to these events for years and years and years and still don't have a single property. And they're usually the ones that have the most to say, and that's what I've found, you know what I mean? And, that's the thing, right? So I've seen that a lot.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your positivity. I think, like I said, this is contagious because you got my brain churning on the possibilities to be. You made it through COVID. Congratulations, right?
Thank you.
You're a survivor. And I think that from the last 18 months, right, those of us that had everything going sweet, or those of us that had learned a little bit and was thinking we had more time to do before we got through something similar to 2008, I think we've learned a lot from it, and we've learned to not let it make us bitter. Unfortunately, there was obviously a lot of people that was affected, but this is where proper planning and good structure definitely saved the day, and why I stand by it with any business, right? Any business, but especially even something like real estate, where people need a place to live, and that can still be affected, right? So even the most necessary service is affected. So I didn't want anybody to think that, hey, as long, the cash flow is gonna keep coming because you're always gonna have somebody in there. Yeah, you'll have somebody in there, but whether they be paying rent or not is is definitely up to whatever's going on in the world, or if you screen them properly.
Totally, man. And like the big thing is too is like at the end of the day, when you see it as a journey and you enjoy doing what you're doing, like it doesn't matter what's going to come your way, whether it's a big pitfall, whether it's economic crash, global pandemic, whatever it may be. If you're passionate about it and you're in it for the right reasons, you have a strong enough why, I mean, you just bounce back, keep going.
Awesome, man. So what is your big why? Since you're saying why, what's your rich state of mind?
Yeah, I would say like it's a combination of quite a bit, but really what it is like, it's cliche, but you only have one life, like there after this, nothing. So for me, I know time is very valuable, which is why when I want to do something, I do it, right? I don't wait, right? If I want to, travel and do something, I go and do it. If I want to be able to, make a bunch of money, build a business, make a bunch of money, sell it, and be able to take care of family and other people, it's like, I want to do that, right? So really just, having that thought and having a list of all the things I want to do in my life, really fires me up when I think about that. And it really kicks me into gear to keep on going and to not stop, because, at any moment, life can happen. It could all be done, right? So,
yes,
I always tell people, if I was to walk out of this office here and something was to happen to me, which hope it doesn't, but if it did, I would die happily, because like I'm living full out every single day. I don't have any regrets. I don't have anything I'm like waiting on, and nothing I'm like, what if I would have done this? I'm doing it, right? And every time it does cross my mind of like, there's that one thing I've always wanted to do, I write that down and I make sure I plan to do it or go do it right away, right? So that's kind of one thing I love to live by.
It's funny you say that, man. So it's definitely interesting that you say that, because yesterday my car caught on fire as I was driving.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a sucker for beaters, man. I like fixing up cars from scratch.
Yeah.
And but I don't know what happened with this one. I think it smelled like it was electrical fire. So I'll find out like on Tuesday. So, because I don't like car notes. I just like paying for cash and put the parts and stuff. So, I was been processing it for the last, let's just say 18 hours. No, 24 hours. Because it's been about 24 hours now since it happened. And there's something you said that made me say, as I'm picturing myself looking at my car and like thinking like, that could have been me inside that car burning up, right? And I'm like, okay, you think about your life and the things that you've accomplished, your family and everything like that. And I'm like, you know what, Ant, you could do better. You're not done yet. And so you're right. You only got one life and you got to live it to the fullest, and you got to put your most into it, because you don't want to, let's just say for the split second before you lose your life, or maybe you're on your deathbed and you can process everything. You're like, man, I missed out on some cool opportunities for myself and for my family. And so I owe that to myself and my loved ones to make sure I give my life the best I can. So thank you for that message, man.
Yeah, no problem. And to add on one more thing on that, and that's a cool experience you shared there, is, in moments like that, you realize you know, some of the problems you have in your life aren't real problems, right? And it's totally irrelevant unless it's your health. I mean, what are real, you know, real problems? We all have problems in our business. We all have these different things that come up, bad tenants, bad this and that. And I used to let all that get to me. But, you know, when, you know, whether you've ever lost someone close to you or you've had something traumatic happen to you, you start to look at the actual reason of why we're all here and how precious life is, and how, you know, you might be letting something so small that's so irrelevant be taking so much effect on you. You know, it could really opens the mindset up. And that's why I go back to it. It's always good to focus on your mindset and learn a lot of personal development stuff. I highly recommend Bob Proctor and Earl Nightingale. Amazing people.
Great.
And it's old school, so it's awesome.
Yeah, very.
You know,
Like
they are no, oh
definitely
yeah,
they've died before probably my parents were born.
yes. Well, Bob is still kicking it at like 80,
Okay.
86, and he's still doing live events. But Earl, oh yeah, like he's old school, but it's like, it's really cool, like their, you know, psychology behind everything, and their teaching. So I highly recommend checking those things out.
Also, I appreciate that. And I'm gonna make sure that I play this back so I can make sure I add the link at the bottom of
Totally.
the YouTube description so people could click on that and you know, check out their content, man. It's been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you taking this time, man. And I love your positivity, your can-do attitude, and your hey, anything is possible attitude at that too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you having me on here.
Awesome.